Yeah. New tunes, boys. It's Lowco Hoops Report season. Justin Jarrett, along with Wes Kerr and Kevin Libby from WHHI-TV. We'll have other friends stopping by as the night goes on. Max may pop in with us. He just got back in town today. Rob Benson may be stopping by. And then your friend and ours, Kevin, Marcus Walsh, may be coming by a little bit later on as well. In fact, I'm certain he will be stopping by. As long as we're still rolling, he'll be by to see us. So, how y'all boys doing? It's basketball season.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm ready for a new kind of stories to talk about. It's been a great fall, but I'm pumped to see what's in store in these gyms. And we got some teams to talk about that have already gotten off to some strong starts. Of course, Skiza has been well underway. High school league getting ready to really dive into it this week. A big week on the horizon for high school hoops. Everybody in action on this first week of December. So diving head first into this new winter sports season, and I'm pumped. And it's going to be a new landscape this year. A few shakeups, a lot, especially when you look at some of the dominant teams for the last few years, especially those Hilton and Christian Academy girls, those Bluffton girls. Going to be a new era over there. But on the same coin, there are some teams that can really make a big jump this year, and even on the guys' side, there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of excitement concerning a couple of different teams that we'll get to throughout tonight, and it's going to be fun to really delve into what should be a very interesting and unpredictable year of high school basketball, in my opinion.
Almost always is, right? Interesting and unpredictable high school sports for you. I think that's part of what we love about it is that you never know what you're going to see from night to night. But Kevin Libby, how you doing, buddy? It seems like you're still basking in the glow of something that took place yesterday, perhaps?
You might have noticed my jersey. Now, if only Carolina was on the list of those teams for which Mr. Carnell Warren, number 3, might be considering for his next location. Now, as I understand it,
does he have an offer?
He has offers. I'm thinking if you go to that one.
That
offer from Carolina.
I thought that was one of the ones he wanted.
To be clear, I'm not breaking news, but if you watch the game this week against Clemson, it would be nice if the kid Sellers had somebody to throw the ball to. And as we all saw from Good Morning Football, I mean, I saw Bridget Frazier throw that out. And my question to you boys, since we're getting ready to call this young man playing some basketball, his family calls him Cam. Can I call him Cam?
Yeah, I didn't know that until recently, that they called him Cam. But I suppose you could ask him. He's a very affable and approachable young man. You could just say, "Hey, can I call you Cam?"
JJ is all about the respect of the pregame. That's correct, sir. I'll ask him what he'd like me to call him. I respect for the family.
Only for the fam? Is Cam only for the fam, or do you get to call him Cam?
That's exactly. I need to earn that level.
That's right. You gotta find out. But that was pretty cool seeing him on Good Morning Football, and deservingly, heck of a catch. We've seen him make a bunch of those though. Like that was maybe not even his best catch we've seen him make, right? Seen him make better. I think it's Virginia Tech. It seems like I saw the whole family on Instagram wearing Virginia Tech gear when they were up there. That seemed like a good sign for the Hokies, but we'll see. But yeah, it should be fun to see him on the basketball court this year. He's a freak athlete, and as we know, guys who are freak athletes on the football field are often freak athletes on the basketball court as well. So it should be fun to watch.
Human highlight reel.
How was y'all's Thanksgiving? Everything good, Libs?
Dreamies.
Yeah. What kind of?
Yeah, I want to hear about West too. Say again.
What kind of pie did you go for?
Oh, so I got myself a pumpkin. Big fan.
Yeah.
High fiber. It's responsible. I was kind of bummed out in the holiday, thinking to myself I was going to have a bad time with formality. I had to wear a belt. Little did I know, to be seated at the kids' table, I got to have a conversation with a 3-year-old who made it the best day of my year. Man. I'm thankful for that child.
Kids' table's where it's at. No question about
it. Yes, sir.
And speaking of the kids' table, pulling up to the big boy table right now, Max Araj. What's up, buddy?
Hey!
Welcome back, Max.
Hello, guys. How y'all doing?
We're good, man. We're just talking some hoops here on a Sunday night, December 1st. Feels like kind of the official kickoff of hoop season. We had a few Skeezy games here and there, and we had some preseason tournaments, but we got a full slate coming out this week. So we're kicking off the hoop season in full force tonight, Lowco Hoops Report style, presented by Mickelson Law Firm, our official real estate closing attorney, presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage, and our original sponsor since 2017. Mickelson Law Firm's been supporting us, so please call on them if you have legal needs. They can help you with everything. They're right down there in downtown Bluffton, and great folks involved in all things sports in the Lowco, and we're proud to have them as sponsors of Lowco Sports, Mickelson Law Firm. So, Max, how was your trip? How were your travels? How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was great. Great time down in Florida with fam. Just it was really my first vacation of the year, so it was definitely needed. Just to relax for a full week, not have to worry about anything. But yeah, it was great. It was great spending time with family, and just swimming in the pool in the back of the Airbnb that we rented out, and just going to the beach every day. It was nice.
Yeah. Well,
Good stuff.
That's great. That's what this time is for. To Florida's a nice spot to go to. It's always warm over there.
It got cold here the last couple of days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I was in Sarasota. We left on yesterday morning, and it was like 50s or something like that down there. So I knew, I had a feeling when I got home last night it was going to be interesting. Just really, really interesting. But it was much needed. I definitely enjoyed my time. And one of the things I noticed, despite being there for vacation, they got so many areas that are still damaged from Hurricane Milton a few weeks back. There were still businesses boarded up. There were still those big wooden boards across the windows and stuff like that, and certain buildings and stuff. So even some of the beaches were closed because they didn't know if there was still any debris on the beach that they needed to be worried about. So there were beaches closed, but it was crazy. It was really fun going down there, just spending time with family. But definitely my prayers out to all those in the Sarasota, Florida, Sun Gulf Coast area that are still dealing with the effects from a hurricane that was.
Yeah, we forget how long
forever ago.
It really is. Yeah.
Right. Well, USCB canceled their women's basketball game with Mars Hill next week because Mars Hill, they just got back in their dorms last week.
Right.
Exactly, man.
It's been a whole
crazy
deal.
to think about.
It's scary. It's scary.
But we remember how long we were cleaning up after Matthew. I mean,
absolutely.
2 years.
But we're it was a Category 4 hurricane that hit that area. Now I can't imagine what
an area
it was like
that's
beforehand.
Yeah.
Just crazy to think about.
Amen. Anyway, welcome back. We appreciate you coming back from Florida. It's always a good thing when you return from Florida. You never know. There's a lot of Florida men down there. You never know what you might run into.
Yeah.
You never know what you might run into down there.
Right.
But we got lots of hoops on tap this week, and here's a look at just tomorrow night to give you an example of how quick we get into it. Beaufort at Ashley Ridge, Carleton County at Bamberg. Carleton County boys, they won one big against St. John's, and then they lost to Pinewood and Porter-Gaud. For what it's worth. HHCA at May River tomorrow night. Very interesting.
That's a good one.
For the girls. I like that one. Ridgeland heading over to Savannah.
Unfortunately, I will be. I have one more night with my family. Who I have, for their last night here, so I'm going to be hanging out there. But and unfortunately, I mean, good news and bad news. The good news is available Tuesday. The good news is USCB will get me. The bad news is the high schools won't. That's the tough part of the conflicts. But maybe since we just have a girls' game, I might be able to swoop by and catch some of the guys' games before I head home.
So Monday I've got wrestling, and Thursday I've got wrestling. But I might be able to get to the guys' game after wrestling. But Tuesday, as you can see. even fuller slate.
Oh boy.
Way full slate. Battery Creek at Bishop England, Ridgeland at Bluffton, Stratford at Colleton, May River girls at St. Vincent's, Hilton Head at Woodville Tompkins, Hampton County at Hardyvale. Come to the Ville.
Yes.
Probably going to have to check that one out myself. Cross schools at Liberty, Savannah Country Day at Hilton Head Christian, Patrick Henry at St. John's Christian, Calhoun Academy at Colleton Prep, and Holy Trinity hosting the Savannah Athletic Association. I've noticed them on a few schedules, whomever they are. And then Wednesday, just a couple of games, Whale Branch at Buford, JP2 at Hilton Head Prep. And then Thursday, got a handful as well, including Thomas Hayward at Patrick Henry. And then Friday, another pretty full slate, including Battery Creek at Whale Branch, Colleton County at Hampton County, Hilton Head Christian, Hilton Head Prep. Got some good matchups.
This is the fun part of the year because you get a lot of these local on Lowco games with some crossovers, teams from different classifications or teams from Skeeza versus High School League. And then you get like from out of state, you get test yourself against some other teams like from out of state or from, there's part. And I feel like a lot of teams from these last few years are starting to have that Lowco on Lowco kind of schedule where you play the teams that are not in your classification or in your region, and so that's what makes it fun. It's easier for us to compare these couple of teams once we sort out and see which teams are best and which teams are not or are coming up next, I guess you could say. But it's a lot of fun this time of year, and with a full slate coming up this week, I'm just for the beginning of the season always gets me so pumped to get into these gyms and kind of see the new look style of all these teams and what they look like. So.
Well, you know who's always pumped to be in the gym, and he's been out there already in force. Robbie B joins us. What's up, buddy?
What's up, good folks? How are you?
Just talking some hoops on a Sunday night.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you, Wes. Hope all is well, and you guys had a wonderful time with family and friends.
Indeed, indeed. You had a lovely time traveling back and forth to basketball games as usual. Cross schools going up against some big time competition up in Charleston, and got a big win over Marlboro County. Tough L to Class 5A Irmo, but your girls are looking good, huh?
Yeah, I think the area it's young, so it's a little down. So I don't think it's hard to really tell who has what right now. And I think that there's a couple that might have, more kids than others, but it's just, you look at Buford out there and they're running a lot of young kids out there. You look at JP2, they're running young kids. Cross is running young. I mean, it's just, I think it's any given night right now amongst a bunch of them. Certainly Cross looked pretty good early in the season, a couple, quick early wins, and then went up there to Marlboro, and really that was just an ugly game where they just were considerably better. So they ended up doing well there, and they got some press there too. I guess some local media was there and took some pictures and/or wrote articles, so that's good for those kids. And then did play Irmo, which is obviously a David and Goliath sort of scenario, right? You're talking about a school of on the outskirts of Columbia there that's got themselves close to 2,000 kids. And so it was a tale of two worlds, considering I think Cross has about 90 in the upper school in the entire high school. But Cross was winning after the first quarter, and their style of play looked really good. And the lid was on the rim for them the better part of the entire weekend. I think they came out of the weekend with 5 threes, and I think PJ hit all of them, right? So it was one of those things where usually they hit 5 or 6 a game. So it just there was very little in the way of scoring. A lot of the gym was like that up there. So, and you're seeing it across the region. I think it's young teams too, right? You get a young team, and then all of a sudden they run up against a decent older team, and it gets to be a whole different thing, which is sort of like what Buford ran into girls when they rolled up against Somerville yesterday, right? And Somerville is obviously stacked and has 2 D1 twins. And that kind of thing. So they've got some good kids up there, and they're going to get a healthy pouring of that in their area. Ashley Ridge is stacked as well.
Yeah.
Skylar Tuthill's going to Rice. So, you know, everyone's going to get waxed out of the area, and it's just a matter of who beats up on who here. Cross has definitely an interesting schedule on the girls' side because they're sort of taking more of the HHCA path of yesteryear, where it's a little taking on all comers.
Right. Stormers.
Yeah, and I mean, so they're going to get out there and see what it is. I don't think they're real concerned about wins and losses. It's about style of play and hopefully like gelling at the end of the year and winning a state and getting into travel and all that good stuff. But they look good, and Coach Fish is the man for the job there. He's doing great work. So but it's the usual suspects, right? And on the boys' side as well, Bridges looks good thus far. Whale Branch has a couple of decent wins. It was nice to see. Battery Creek step out and do the Savannah shootout over there in End Market.
Played tough too.
Yeah, play Calvary. I mean,
Yep.
So these are good things. It's funny, some of the areas 4 or 5 games in, and then some haven't tipped yet. So
Right.
It's sort of still sort of wait and see and get a feel for who's who and what's what.
Yep. Speaking of that, actually, let's do a few sponsors here. MVP sponsors of Lowco Sports. We got our baseball and softball apparel sponsor, Base Hit Life. You can go check out their stuff at basehitlife.com. They've got cool hats, T-shirts, and especially hoodies. This time of year, we all need a nice collection of hoodies to keep us looking good when we're out in the gyms. So check out Base Hit Life at basehitlife.com and live your best Base Hit life. Got homegrown home inspections, best home inspectors in the Lowco. They'll check out your home, make sure you're making a great investment. And if you're building a new home, got to have that phased inspection. They'll check on it every step of the way and make sure it's built right. And homegrown home inspections. Hospice Care of the Lowcountry is providing hospice care, palliative care, free grief counseling, and much more at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, where it's not about dying, it's about living. And the USCB Center for Lowcountry Hospitality Education, providing all kinds of great resources to our area, including the Bluffton and Island Ambassadors programs. Learn more about your community and become an ambassador with the USCB Center for Lowcountry Hospitality Education. Those are our MVP sponsors. I figured we'd kind of go through region by region and kind of break it down a little bit as far as storylines, what we expect, etc. So, we got the most teams in Class 4A, so that makes the most sense. Starting with the girls, I suspect Bishop England coming in is going to kind of look like the favorite, at least to start. They're usually pretty strong, right, Robbie? The Bishop England girls, what do they got this year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, generally speaking, they play a disciplined brand of ball, and they've got some decent kids, right? I mean, they just played someone they played pretty close. I'm not sure who that was, but I imagine that they're definitely kind of the class of the area. Like I said, the local area is super young. So
right.
Well, that's even what some of the results we've seen won't really mean much in like 2 weeks too.
Because like Bluffton is real young and turned over everything, and then May River is off to a good start, but they're awfully young.
I think they're on the rise. I love Coach Kicks is just doing some good work over there. So that's a team to keep an eye on from the outset.
Yeah, it looks like it.
They've got some talented players, but Bishop England just looking at the pedigree that's there and what they have done in the past, it feels like they're going to be once again right in the mix, or if not at the top of this region when the dust settles, because this. You expect Bishop England to be right there. I mean, they went 28-3 last season, 8-1 in 2A. You kind of feel like this team is going to be one of the teams to beat, if not the team to beat in this region. I think May River will have something to say about that.
Yeah, May River.
I think Bluffton's in a retooling phase, so I don't not quite sold on them. Hilton has lost a lot. See, that's the problem. Some of these teams are in the process of kind of retooling.
Very young.
A lot of young teams. So it's going to be tough to see them really competing in terms of being right there with the Bishop England. So I think May River would be the team to challenge them, but I feel like Bishop England's the the top
Maybe
seed.
Beaufort though. Rob, tell us more about the youth
Let's hear more
movement at
about Beaufort.
Beaufort because you've been
Mhm.
excited about them.
Well, they're super young. I mean, the reality of it is that they've got a couple older kids, that they're leaning on, Carson Crosby and
Yeah,
and some of them that are returning. They picked up the Whale Branch point guard from last year.
Coaxum. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah, yeah.
I just saw that.
Yeah, so
She
she's
goes
she's
hard.
been
She plays
she
hard.
goes hard and she's been part of the backcourt. Nia's getting volume back there, right?
Yeah, Jania Hayward.
But the thing is Nia's learned in the shadows, right? Um she has been a big time player in middle school, so she didn't get the chance to move up because she was at Riverview. So since it ends in 8th grade, they don't have a definitive feeder or tied into a district, I guess, so they play through 8th grade. So she barely sweat, there in eighth
Yeah.
grade. And then she's been playing with the H227. So whereas she has to move into that full-time point guard role for Beaufort, she has been mostly like a combo for H2, right? So you have you have PJ and you have Amira Brown and you have a bunch of kids like that. And so that's also a thing too when you talk that region. The best kid in that region is probably Amira when she's at full when she's at full swing. So like what you've seen May River do early is several things. One, they played the Earl Campbell was the tournament to start the year, had a great grouping of local programs that really are struggling to start the year.
Right.
So the results there.
The boys was different. The boys was different because you had Whale Branch and Bridges, but the girls was
correct.
All teams that needed to play a couple games.
Right, and so Bluffton played without Amira. They've got a kid named Ashlyn. I don't remember her last name, but she is new from Ohio, who's part of the backcourt there. And I think that they've got a couple of kids who are ready to step up here and there and some youngsters that they can plug and play. They're going to be super aggressive under CJ, play passing lanes. I know that they're athletic. When they scrimmage JP2, they beat JP2 in the scrimmage. So now JP2, again, when they beat Prep, for example, was down a couple of kids. So everyone's just sort of rounding in right now and getting a feel for what it's going to be and not going to be. Bluffton hasn't played with their main kid yet. She would have been good for several wins there. I'm not sure she doesn't elevate them over May River right away.
Right, and Ashlyn Steele, you said she can go?
Yeah.
She's a freshman?
Well, I think she's a freshman. I think she's got pedigree of trying to play the right way, and she goes hard from what Coach CJ says. So, there's a lot of buy-in factor with Bluffton. Yeah. They've really raised up their level of culture and how hard they go and what's expected, and it's a wonderful thing to see. She's no BS. She's gonna, basically it's going to be how it's going to be. But the beauty of it is there's a lot of energy on the bench. There's a lot of kids that are excited about basketball over there, and it will trickle down. It's just a matter of keeping, being real, keeping some of the older kids that are returning that are used to that level of success, keeping them on the same page to where they are now leaders, even though they're still young themselves, right? Like so much of this gets a little strange because your 10th graders are just considered your de facto best kids and they have to lead.
Right.
And they're like children.
Right.
Right. They're like children. So, I mean, I speak on that one personally for my kid. It's like, how old you? Yeah. I mean, she plays a nice basketball game, but like, it's young to take on that level of pressure and all that for a lot of these kids. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I think that one kid can swing games around here this year.
For sure. And Amira is definitely that kind of kid.
I feel like
game over.
Yeah.
And I think Hilton Head High School lost several kids to the JP2 transition. So Hilton Head Middle School over the last couple of years, I think won the middle school public. And then effectively, a bunch of those kids went to JP2 and have been pretty high up in their rotation so far. So that changes the trajectory of JP2. Not necessarily in skis of 4A because that's a dog, but like maybe in terms of how they're perceived in the area, if that means anything, I'm not sure. You know, and that's the thing too. Like even the Savannah tournaments, this isn't just the Low Country. The Savannah tournaments that have gone on, the Joe Green over there, the Savannah Shootout. These are really, really. I mean, there's a kid a team. You know what I mean? There's a kid a team who can really go, and so those teams who have 3 or 4 who actually understand team basketball or whatever, that's why Cross played with Irmo, right?
Right.
Stylistically, I mean, if they can't, they're not as big, they can't rebound with those kids. You know, they're not as athletic, but they move the ball and they go to the right spots. Now, when you're not shooting well, you know, that takes away a lot of that extra action. You know, like who cares at that point? The ball's not going in. So that's what you saw yesterday. But the reality is in this area, there's not a lot of Cross is about the only thing that projects in a state kind of race. You know, like everything else, Hilton Head's going to be very young. Hilton Head's going to be playing a lot of new kids. May River has mostly a lot of the same returning kids back, and then they picked up Jordan Green.
Yeah.
So Jordan's actually Lyric Jones's cousin, I'm told.
Yeah, and she was the MVP of the tournament.
Yeah, and she's from Atlanta, and she commands space in the paint and does the stuff around here that like always provides really anywhere provides real value, which is, you know, which is owning the blocks, rebounds, backside putbacks, things like that, hard fouls, you know, rim protecting. So she showed very well early, and I think that'll make a difference for them. I think the Macy girl is now a freshman,
right?
And she has a little bit of potential there as a kid on the blocks as well. So they provide what they bring to the table is a couple of bigs who actually like can, if you get enough shots at the rim, right? Enough putbacks, like sometimes it's just the grade even or depending. But here's the biggest difference in the area, and one thing we've seen already is like if you have an elite guard, like point guard in particular, it sort of changes things. You know, like Courtney kind of like she's willed them in 2 of their 3 games at prep. Right. And in the situation, which, you know, doesn't make sense really for them to be that competitive. Now, Christian no longer has a point guard, so they're in a situation where they have a very difficult time really getting up and down in the way they want to get, unless it's by the pass. And, of course, they need to get teams like Brunswick off the schedule at this point.
Right.
You know, that was
ready.
That was a remnant of yesteryear, my friends. So yeah, they might want to think those sorts of things over moving forward, which I'm sure they have. That was probably not pleasant for any of them involved. But that's also going to be kind of the nature of the beast a little bit for them this year after putting 6 years of hurting on everybody. And other than that, I mean, I don't really know who to speak of. Hampton, I thought, had more talent than the early results indicate.
Yeah.
They have 2 or 3 kids that are like considered pretty viable kids in the area, and yet they they barely scooted by Bluffton without a Myra.
Right.
You know, they got hammered by Beaufort in a scrimmage by 8 or 9.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
that's interesting because none of our teams look like they're going to be real strong in 2A on the girls' side. You've got Hampton, Whale Branch, and Bridges, and you would think Hampton would be the strongest of the 3, but sounds like not that strong. But I was, before my headphones fritzed out on me, I was going to use the point guard talk to segue to the 4A boys, because
Sure.
Bluffton's he's not really a point guard. He's really a shooting guard. But Harry Skinner is over there now, and that is over at Bluffton, and that is an interesting lineup now when you put him in there with Jamari Simmons,
Our
is that
guy,
right?
Carnell Warren.
Manning, Stuart Manning,
Jamar
Carnell
Stewart
Waring, Aiden
That-
McCarthy. That becomes a
yeah.
very interesting lineup.
That's a potent five right there with whoever they ran out that starting five with, because we've seen the tremendous shooting of Skinner back over Hilton and Chris coming for a number of years, and that's something that they were missing is that I mean they kind of had it for bits and pieces, but you have that 3-point threat now with a few athletes around that starting lineup. And Carnell Warren, he's jumping out of the gym kind of dude. We've seen what we could do in the football field, and that's someone that I feel like can really bring it to heading into this winter. But Jamari Stewart-Bain, I mean, what he did throughout last year, so underappreciated, all the little plays that he made, and he developed himself to be quite a player. So that's someone you definitely got to put your eye on.
Shoot.
Yeah, he can shoot as well. So
Yeah, he can.
I'm pumped. I feel like the potential is really high with this team. We'll see how well we'll blend together. And I think it's a great opportunity for Harry Skinner. I think it's a great landing spot for him, and a chance to really put something special together here for the Bluffton team. If it all clicks, and if it clicks at the right time, they could really go places this winter.
Yeah, I agree with Wes. I think when you add Harry Skinner to that lineup that's already pretty potent as it is, and we've seen Harry Skinner play. We know he can shoot the ball. We know he can move that ball around. We know he can make some plays. And to add that to a team that's already got some talent on it, it's going to bolster this starting five for Bluffton in a huge way. And I really like what I'm seeing in Bluffton for this upcoming season as we get the season really started this week.
Yeah, I mean, Harry's long time, he's one of the original kind of gym rats around here, and Jamari is kind of right there, always riding shotgun. So that they've been part of, and Carnell too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he and Carnell, that group's all tight. So I think that was a big part of the move for Harry.
They'll have chemistry in the back.
Oh, you were breaking up there. Go ahead.
I said they'll have real chemistry in the backcourt. No two ways.
Yeah, they will.
Right.
I wonder if Carnell brings it up some, runs like a point forward.
I mean, here's the thing. The Harry situation has gotten certainly not dicey, but interesting in the sense that, at his size, even though he's grown a considerable amount, he's always been considered a point guard, but he really kind of hasn't been a point guard for about a year and a half now.
Right.
Really
a shooting guard.
Yeah, and so now they got to get themselves into a situation where who's actually running the show there, getting them set up, are they trying to, and both of them can shoot it, well. So I think it's possible they could just, play 4 and 5 out, and whoever grabs the rebound, looks for the advance outlet, or otherwise they just.
Well, they've got the Isaiah Gadsden kid too, who's like 6'4" and can run the floor. So they've got some dudes.
Yeah,
5 out makes a lot of sense. 4 and 5 out.
Yeah.
I think that was part of the thing. I'm sure Harry was a little frustrated about. I mean, I talked about him. I talked with him last year. When basketball season ended for the boys team, and I just asked. I was like, what disappointed you most? And he said, I think I would have rather played that point guard position at times. Because I think I could run that offense. Better than most kids can. But I do think he's going to have a better time being able to fit in with the offense that they're going to run over at Bluffton, because I think he fits in perfectly with that system. So I think he's going to have a much better year. I mean, he had a great year last year, but I think he's really going to show out this year for Bluffton.
I mean, you're exactly right, Max. Carnell and Aiden are both 6'4", and when you're playing opposite Harry Skinner, who can play point guard and shooting guard. It creates such a dynamic where they can stretch the floor and be completely different than any other offense. Never mind the fact that all these kids play defense. Defense is effort. They all show up with effort. We see that. It's easy to translate on a basketball court.
100%.
Well, I think that's also the shortcoming, so to speak, right? Is that they have a short backcourt. Yeah, they don't necessarily play great defense in the backcourt, and that's something that moving forward they will have to address. And Harry hasn't been against public school kids at a 4A level, and it's a lot more physical and not nearly as much stuff as Paul. Yeah. So he's going to have to get used to that level of physicality. But look, he's a supremely talented kid, and so is Jamari. I have no concern on it. But like you said earlier, it's really about effort, and they're going to have to D up, and they're going to have to take it personally because people are going to look at them and try to pick on them.
Yep, that's right. That's for sure right. They're gonna get after that small backcourt. They're going to try to get you into situations where they're posting you up and stuff like that. And you're going to have to fight through it. But no, that's a fun, exciting team. I think they may be among the favorites in that region. I think Bishop England obviously coming in is going to be a big factor. Hilton Head showed some juice late, but I don't know if everybody's still there or if they got raided.
So
did the boys get raided too?
No, but they've got the number one sleeper, I think.
Freshman, right?
Yeah, Ketis Smith, right? So Ketis played for us in 6th grade when we were still doing boys stuff, and like he was that kid who walked in the gym who was just out of Cincinnati, and he and his dad showed up, and really, really good family, salt of the earth, and rolled in, and essentially you could just tell he was different, and that he was super motivated, was into it, was a gym rat. And I think their biggest issue down here has been finding the level of training and stuff on the boys' side to sort of like keep up with what's turning out to be big travel accolades. He would get in all sorts of trouble in middle school, dunking on everything. He got kicked out of the middle school championship this past year. Listen to this. This is great. He was in the middle school championship this past year, and they had to move it to Hilton Head High School because they just knew he was going to dunk all over everybody. so they move it to Hilton Head High School, and in the first minute of the game, I guess he gets the ball, and he gets an and one, and he sort of flexes, and they call him for a technical, and he was like, "What? I can't believe it," and all this kind of stuff, and the crowd's going crazy, and all of a sudden, like he's mad or whatever, he gets the inbound, he steals the inbounds and punches it, pulls up and slaps the backboard. They call him for a second technical and kick him out like 12 seconds into the championship game where they moved it all from the middle school to the high school so they could get more people in, and everyone's going crazy like, let the kid play.
Wow.
Yeah, so check it out.
You're doing too much, Stripes.
No, check it out. Because he was suspended, it
rolls over.
It rolls over. He's suspended for the first. So his original suspension was unseemly. It was like half the season or something in high school, his freshman year. And but now it's been dumbed down to I think 3 or 5 games to start the year, something like that.
Ooh, that's an outrageous penalty.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I talked to his dad this offseason, and he was like, and he was sending me the clips of the dunk, and it was kind of mayhem, which was awesome. But anyway, he plays for he has every option in the world, right? He played travel ball this past year for Upward Stars 3SSB, which is an Adidas travel program. He has played with us in the past when we did boys. He's also played on West Coast program. So he's a whole thing. I think he has an offer with CP3, which is, obviously a Nike program as well. So I think the key for him is he's 6'5" now. So they've been playing him as a big his whole life. He can hit the 3 ball, but he's got to transition to playing wing and playing defense on the wing. But he's a tremendous talent, and he's super dedicated, and he's a good kid. So anyway,
Robbie, how tall is his dad?
Easily that tall, 6'5", 6'6", yeah.
Right.
So I mean, his dad's a good. These are big men, you know, and he's a talented kid. Like when we saw him, he had fire. Like he was that kid, I think, in practice. And he was on our like sixth grade team at the time, and I think, you know, he just competes like a Cincinnati kid. I think he was at Cincinnati Moeller, like in that district. So he was one of those kids. Yeah, he was one of those kids who sort of like came in and was just sort of piss and vinegar, if you excuse my French.
Yeah.
And he just came in, and so like he, you know, immediately in practice he gets mad at himself. And the good kids do. I mean, like and girls, Devin Yard, like as quiet as she could be, but she'd get mad in the gym and she'd punt that ball, boy. Like punt it, and you'd be like, hold on.
I remember that. Devin.
Yeah. And
he used to
like that.
do that at Christian Academy's old campus. I remember that clear as day.
That boys region is going to be interesting because I think May River's going to be very interesting with the new coach and the personnel they have.
Yeah.
Two, you know, veteran guards in the backcourt who know what they're doing with the basketball and a Midwestern style coming in. I think that's going to be fun. Buford's always interesting.
Yeah, Huff's a great coach.
Athletes. Yeah, Huff always gets a lot out of them.
What do we?
May River's back
and Colleton. What's that? May River's backcourt's very nice. And then Colleton, they're always sleepers.
Yeah, the Hamilton Gants are gone. We'll see who else can find a way to replace them. But don't forget about
like
Varner.
32 the other night.
Don't forget about Varner. He's a built athlete.
Yep. Yes.
While we have Robbie, I gotta ask. Robbie, did you ask his dad if he was a fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Because Anthony Kiedis is the exact same spelling of that kid's name.
No, he does. You know, it wouldn't shock me. Like, so like dad is a super great guy to go spin a yarn with and have a beer. He is like, but you know, he at one point was thinking about taking the kid to Europe. I mean, I think he's a charter boat captain right now. So like he came down here and like bought into the area, and he's out there, you know, catching fish with the locals and the tourists alike. But yeah, he's really vested in trying to get it right for his kid and move him on, you know, because it's what he cares about. And I think it's difficult. Like when you get Courtney's that way, right? At prep, like you get locked on the island. And then of course when one of the new best kids in the area is on the island, so I don't really know who he's practicing against all the time. Yeah, Harpering. So yeah. We can't forget that Bishop England's a part of this region.
Yes,
as well.
yeah. So they're.
I was looking at what they've done so far. They've had 2 games according to Max Preps. One against Northwood Academy, which who cares? They won that game. And then Philip Simmons, and then they play Battery Creek next. Believe it or not. So, I mean, I don't know what Bishop England's going to look like this year, but obviously, you know, we didn't expect them to do anything in football this year, and sure enough, they were the #1 team in our region. So you really never know with Bishop England what they're going to bring. So I'm intrigued to see if they add to a bit of what the chaos is when it comes to this region for 4A men's basketball.
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll be right there near the top.
You would think.
You would think
they're so vested athletically.
We don't want to think that, but yeah, we kind of have to. But yeah, I mean, look, I love how this 4A region's setting up. I swear, it's like every freaking sport we do with this 4A region. It's just pure chaos, no matter what, and it doesn't matter if it's men's or women's sports. It's just nuts. I mean, it was nuts in football. It was nuts in baseball last spring. It was nuts in soccer last spring. You know. You just never know with this region, but it makes it exciting to watch. So I'm excited for this season, at least for the 4A region, and then you know obviously we got a lot of other teams in our region who are going to be interesting team to watch.
Yeah, it's like I said, you're absolutely right, Max. It's 6-4A has and that 7-4A turned 6-4A. There have been some years where we've had to defend a favorite. Don't get me wrong on that.
Well, yeah, like the Bluffton girls ran through that region year after year.
Right. Yeah. There was no competition, but now it'll be more.
That's not really the case anymore, though. You know?
Right.
Not
No,
this
not-
year. It doesn't
it
look
doesn't
like
look like it. No.
I mean, Bishop England might run through the girls.
They could.
Let's be
They
I have a
very
feeling
well
they
could.
will. I want to
I
actually.
wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I think the guys' region will be a little bit more tighter. Just that's my gut, but I feel like Bishop England once again.
I think so too.
As much as I want to see a Lowco region champion in 4A, come on, guys! But like, I know we're gonna. I hope we'll get it. We'll get it. Maybe we'll get it in basketball. We'll see. But hey, good on the Battling Bishops for what they did football season. Tremendous year for them, and now let's see if we can get in hoops. But certainly won't be easy on that girls' side. Tremendous team last year, and I expect them to be very good. But again in 24, but there are some guys teams that get challenged. I think Bluffton right now on paper they look like the biggest threat. I think maybe Rivers. I feel like we're gonna get a lot more good Bluffton River games on the court this winter.
Those would be good ones.
Yeah, I mean they bring it every year. That's the best rivalry.
I think both the guys and girls games will be really competitive this year.
I think they will. Oh, absolutely. There were some years, like I said, Bluffton wiped the floor with them. That's not going to be the case at all. They're going to be tight, defensively played games. I will say that. I feel. I know nothing against these fields, but that's how the way it goes sometimes. Where it's a battle close to the rim. Like you're fighting for those rebounds and you're trying to get those second chance points. It's a scrap.
Great scrap.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's talk about some other stuff. After our varsity sponsors, DDS Web Design builds, hosts, and maintains websites for businesses and nonprofits. So if you need to get found online so you can do more and think bigger, go to ddshhi.com. Parker Law Group serves legal needs across Colleton, Hampton, and Jasper counties. They are helping us continue to shine a light on those counties and the deserving teams and student athletes out on the Lowco frontier. Dr. Ambrose Cole's our official chiropractor. You can find him at Rooted Living Wellness in Bluffton, and he'll get you feeling right, mind, body, and spirit. And Reverence Wrestling Club, the official wrestling sponsor of Lowco Sports and presenting sponsor of the Lowco Grind. Take your skills on the mat to the next level at Reverence Wrestling Club. Let's talk Skiza, boys. The two, obviously, Hilton Head Christian Academy, a defending state champ on the girls' side, and that's just a totally different team. So I think we can cross them off the board. But can the Hilton Head Prep boys and the Cross girls repeat as state champs?
I think Prep can. I think
Cross can easily. I think
Cross
can have a harder time. But I think
they both can. From what I've seen for Prep, in the couple games they've played so far, they look like the same team, they were last year. Really, really good, played really methodical basketball. I don't see any difference in them this year, and they're not playing 4A basketball this year alongside Christian Academy and JP2 this year, so they're not playing in that region. So they have,
and it's a good thing because they lost to JP2.
They did.
They did, and that's I don't know.
I think that says more about JP2 than it does about Hilton Head Prep, though.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It really does. That makes people keep a close eye on JP2 as the season continues, because if they can beat that Prep team, then they'll be a team to keep a very close eye on as the season continues. But for Prep, they have an easier road, I think, towards the playoffs.
Right.
Because you're not
the guys, especially they look like the front runner from what I see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Well, 3A is just a bigger difficulty. Yeah, I think 4A is a monster in basketball. That's a whole other level.
That's going to be a problem for Christian Academy and JP2. I'm intrigued to see how JP2 does, because if they can be Prep, I'm intrigued to see what they do. But 4A basketball is a whole nother.
They got some dudes. Situation. They got Phelan is a pretty legit big. Atkinson is really nice, rangy kid, and then they got the point guard with Godson, and then some other guys around them. So they're pretty solid. Have you seen them yet, Rob?
Yeah, I watched the Prep game.
You did,
and that was a nice game. I mean, essentially, Prep didn't hit a lot of shots, and they got behind early. Prep is playing faster this year, a little bit faster this year. They relied on Harpering a tremendous amount. They didn't. Barron's kid didn't hit any shots, or one of those kids didn't hit any shots over the course of the game. So it was sort of they have 3 kids who shoot a majority of their 3 balls, and really only one of them in Harpering that gets to the rack with regularity. Of course, you have Campbell, who's back at point guard, who's cerebral, like steady. So they're going to play a good brand of ball and a disciplined brand of ball. That particular day, I think JP2 has athletes to hang with them, though, for sure. And I think JP2 proved themselves well in that game. The problem's 4A, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I think JP2 in girls has really the potential to be very good locally. And be a nice team moving forward. Or I don't know about moving forward necessarily, but like certainly this year and next year, right? And that kind of stuff. But like the reality of it is 4A
girls.
4A just
4A girls.
I mean 4A
else, man. Especially some of those schools up in the Columbia area.
Cardinal Newman, Heathwood Hall, Northwood.
Yeah. Well, so Heathwood has literally 4 D1 signees right now, and their point guard's going to Ole Miss and turned down the South Carolina thing because literally Dawn Staley waited too long to offer, even though she's been in the backyard and at Asia Wilson's school and playing for Asia Wilson's team for years. So it's one of those things where they just were like, you know what, you should have offered us a year ago. And then actually a local kid turned her nose up at the South Carolina offer. So that was super interesting, but Heathwood is going to be a beast. First Baptist is
that's another solid program.
Northwood's got kids. And then certainly you're looking at all these others that, like, I was looking at JP2. They have Trinity Collegiate coming in. Is that right?
And yes, it is another 4A team. That region is going to be.
That's their region.
That's their region.
Yeah, that's the 4A region. That is
right,
man. Just talking about like I said, the travel that you have to go through. Not just the competition, but having to put the miles on. I mean, that's
well, and I think they have kept it like so they put Wilson Hall and stuff on there. So they're trying to like grab what's sensible given who they are that makes sense in region, but they still have some. They're not swallowing like the huge whales of the 4As in their regular season. So they're not going to run into. They're not going to take on First Baptist or any of that.
Right, they're not in the same.
They're in the same region, but they could see them later.
Are they not in the same region as First Baptist?
They might well be, but they're not.
They could be.
I would think so because that's the only other closest team to them, at least in 4A. Right. I would think.
Well, First Baptist must be First Baptist must be in the region with Portergoud, Pinewood, Northwood.
Yes.
So
First Baptist is with Portergoud. So we got HHCA, JP2, Camden Military, Lawrence Manning, Trinity Collegiate, and Wilson Hall.
Camden Military is boys only. So
okay, so that's the guys only schools. We have the 5.
So in the region, they have some sort of shot at it, depending on what Trinity has.
Right.
But there's no. That doesn't mean anything once you get to states.
Yeah, once you get to state playoffs,
you got to play the Charlestons and the Columbias.
Yeah. That's what 4A is. You want JP2 and Hillman Christian Academy to join in on 4A sports. That's what you're gonna have to deal with. For most of those sports. And
careful what you wish for with growth, right?
Well, I mean,
it's like a whale.
I mean, I don't know. That's a lot of traveling, which will be a factor for teams like JP2 and
but both teams got to travel.
Yeah, and that's something to factor in on. That, and then the competition is so much different than 3A sports, so it's
big time,
especially 3A basketball. So, I'm intrigued to see how JP2 girls do, because I think they have a good team, but I just don't.
Yeah,
I think outside of region play, once they get to states, it's a whole nother ball game when you get to states, So
they got a great region, though. I mean, for 4A, that's about as good as you're going to get.
They got a good draw.
Right. It's viable. It's viable.
Yeah, it's viable. That other one's dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that's got Pinewood and First Baptist and Porter Goud and Northwood.
Yeah.
That one's crazy.
Well, you know what's
Yeah.
funny is like I think only of those, even First Baptist. I mean, all of those are JP2 goodish, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Porter.
Well, I was
Goud
thinking
and
more on the guys'
Pinewood.
side, I guess. The guys' side with Pinewood, Porter
Right.
Goud is
Yeah,
crazy.
they'll put them down pretty good, probably. I would think, and that's not a shot at JP2 because I think
No.
them and
Yeah,
Bridges and
they.
Bluffton, right?
I'm
Those are the
impressed
three
by
in the
what
area.
they showed against Hilda Prep in an
Yeah.
early
Yeah,
season meeting. Like
absolutely.
that's big time
Oh,
stuff right there from.
absolutely. It's just the 3A 4A thing. That's
Right.
it's not-
Yeah, and
like-
that's
they're-
what it comes
yeah,
down
that's
to.
it.
If you swap them, that's a whole different ballgame.
Pinewood and Porter Goud
Yep.
are
Yeah. All right.
different.
Yeah.
They're different.
Yeah,
Now
so-
that used to be the region back in the day. It was Hilton Head
So this
Christian and
is-
Hilton Head
so
Prep, and
Prep-
they played Pinewood and Porter Goud and all them
Indeed.
people.
So this should give you an idea of how easy Prep's going to run through the region, at least for boys basketball. Their region consists of them, Patrick Henry, and Cotton Prep this year
And St. John's Christian.
at the 3A
That's it?
level. Yeah, that's it.
St. John's Christian.
That's sort of like cross
hold on, let me take a
girls
look here.
region this year is like
Oh no, sorry,
They-
St. John's
they
is in there as well.
How is
St. John's
Hilton Head
in there as
Prep
well.
in the same classification as Patrick Henry and college?
Right?
Well, here's the other
Crazy to
thing.
me.
I was looking at their schedule. Apart from those games, they actually have somewhat of a difficult schedule because they'll be playing Bluffton on the 7th. That should be an interesting
Nice.
one, actually.
Ooh,
I'm intrigued to
nice.
see how that one goes. They play Christian County, obviously. Don't need to worry about that game. They play Fort Dorchester. They play May River. They also play Bethesda. I don't know what Bethesda is going to look like this year, but they got an easy
They do
schedule for boys basketball. Apart from the Bluffton and May River games, those should be very interesting. I'm intrigued to see on the 7th. Is that Friday?
That's a Saturday.
Saturday
Saturday,
night
yeah.
special.
I might have to go.
Yeah.
I might have to get out to that one on Saturday and watch them play Bluffton. I believe it's at Bluffton.
No,
it
it
is
looks
at
like
Hilton
it's
Head
at
Prep.
Prep.
At home.
It is at
They're
Hilton
at
Head
home
Prep.
against Bluffton.
Yeah,
I bet you that's an
yeah,
afternoon
6. The girls play at 2:30. The guys play at 6.
That
That's
should be
weird.
interesting. Very weird.
That can't
But-
be right.
That's
Oh,
what
let me
it says
check.
on
only
the.
time- only time they
Yeah,
do
I
that.
know, but the means,
only time they do that's for dances.
I don't know if they
I
have
mean, that's
a-
what the
Get
Max
ready.
Preps.
Christmas gala or something between.
That
Yeah,
is
so the
what the
girls
Max
can get
Prep
ready.
special. The Max Prep schedules do say 2:30 and 6.
Let me look on Prep's website
Yeah.
here. Give me a
That's
second.
Seems a little.
The second.
That's a
odd.
little fishy.
You're right. That's usually to let the girls go home and get ready for the
There
homecoming.
must
It
be
is.
a Christmas gala or something that night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It says on Prep. It says on Prep's website they're at home against Bluffton High School.
Yeah, at what times?
Boys says 5:15. Let me check the girls real quick.
5:15.
5:15.
Yeah, weird times. Girls is at 2:30.
That don't make a lick of sense.
No, it
I
doesn't.
don't know, man.
But I'll
I
probably
guess-
go out for those. Those should be good
Camp
games.
out there all
regardless.
afternoon.
Yeah.
That'll be absolutely entertaining though.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
Boys
I'm
game will
intrigued.
be really fun. Girls
That
game
boys
will be
game will be
interesting
fun.
too, actually.
The girls game has intrigue just in terms of like
Yeah.
CJ and her style of play and like new kids and if Amira will
Right.
really Amira versus Courtney is entertaining
Right.
in its own
Yeah.
right so yeah. But
And CJ's the type who would put Amira on Courtney, right?
oh man, I don't really know. You know, the thing is that seems to be a little more of a yesteryear concept, right? The younger coaches
Yeah.
that played at a high level, they are more of a player's mentality where if you bear a huge amount of the load on offense and
Yeah,
you
get a break
then
on
on
defense.
defense, you get a break on defense and you get to roam around, especially if you're good in help, you get to roam around
Yeah.
a little.
And she is very
Um,
good in help. She can get in
so,
passing
like,
lanes.
So I think that there's that, and that can look. I'm not going to say that that's always my favorite tack. I understand I understand the methodology, the madness behind it, but I'm not sure what CJ will do there. I mean, at the end of the day, Cross has shown everyone how you play defense versus Courtney. I mean, and essentially it is you put your best kid on them physically, and then essentially you just roll coverage. No one else can beat you.
Yep.
So it is what it is. You're just essentially in essentially a point zone where you're essentially rolling with. So I mean, some would say box and one, but it's not even really a box and one. It's just whoever's in help nearest. You're basically blitzing the kid.
I mean, Courtney can pass those kids open. It's about the shooting, right? I mean, if they can get their shooters open and actually hit shots, the game's
or
different.
even the catching, like they just don't catch
Right.
their passes.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. She has to score like anytime they're close to winning against anyone who's like a JP2 or Savannah Christian or Savannah Country Day when they were decently close there too. I mean, she's having to go for an unbelievable amount of points and play out of
plays the whole game.
Yeah, and the level of volume's absurd. I mean, she tries to get other kids involved. It's very difficult, and there's no shade on them. They're not full-time basketball kids, and some of them are really come a long way and are efforting really hard, and I think a lot of them are vastly improved. It's just really a matter of.
And she tries to reward them, man.
She does.
She does.
Great
She's shown very well over the last bunch of years in terms of attempting to lead. I think it's got to be very difficult. And honestly, I think, and we were talking about this week. I mean, on a very real side of things, there's sort of. I think it's time for her to move on, because like at the end of the day, she's on the south end of Hilton Head playing against the boys on occasion. You know what I'm saying? Like she's not out there against kids. It's just time for her to get to college and play against good kids all the time, because what she's been doing for them is an awful lot. There's a ton of responsibility placed on her shoulders, and I think it might not be. Look, she's a facilitating point guard that's having to shoot 25 times a game.
Right.
That's the last thing in the world. No. For 3 years in a row, that's the exact opposite last thing in the world she's wanted to do and is outside of her skill set, yet she's done it admirably and dominantly at times. So good on her. She's, yeoman's effort. She stood to the challenge and accepted it and been gracious doing it, but like enough's enough.
I look forward to her averaging 6 points and 6 assists at USCB like she's supposed to.
And it'll be, and honestly, me and you covering those games, it'd be more impactful.
Oh, tremendously more impactful. Just take care of the ball, dish out some assists, and play some defense.
Play some defense, hit an open jumper.
She can help that team right away. Like,
absolutely.
Courtney Campbell on Don Saley's team is like Rudy. I mean, she asks every player in her team to have half the heart that kid shows up with every day. She might be as good as Connor. They're both excellent players, and she might be as good as Connor.
Like, she's one-on-one?
I wouldn't bet it. I mean, she can shoot, and so can he.
She's got a better range, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Connor.
What's that?
Yeah, no, she's no disrespect to Connor, but she's a good player, man. And it's just one of those things where she's doing everything she can, and I do think she, by the time it's all said and done, she'll figure out a way to come up and bite someone. I think, boy, Phil and all them, they would love to be able to squeak out a win versus Prep after all those needless beatdowns and Christian,
and they might do it. They might do it.
Yeah,
I mean, they might on the floor.
They will have the best kid on the floor by a lot, and there's a chance that she could go will that. And I think that would be a really wonderful moment for both the kid and the coach.
Yeah, I would agree.
And that but not that Christian, those kids deserve to get, because they're not really responsible for anything that happened these last 6 years.
Paying for the sins of their predecessors.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, they have a literal red dot on their forehead, and it's not really very fair. But
it's not.
guess what? A lot of that stuff wasn't fair and was pressing late, and so
Yeah.
it's now sort of what's good for the goose kind of scenario, and so maybe Courtney and Prep can figure out a way to make that happen. I think Cross probably has. They've already. I mean, that was 29-4 at half. And
it's funny.
And PJ gets after Courtney, to be quite honest. Now, Courtney's not won a matchup with PJ yet, so those are two kids that are sort of like.
By the way, we mentioned something on the Sand Shark Rewind before.
Yeah, about Courtney going to USCB. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And she's going to be great there. I mean, she really is. Like Justin and I've been watching those games and calling them, and they're in need of a distributor. I mean, they would have had Primo should she have been healthy.
Well, now Bowman's out for a good while.
Oh
yeah, she's back. She's back out.
Terrible injury luck.
Yeah, she got hurt again. She's out.
Dude, man, it just doesn't stop, does it, with that USCB team?
Nah.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
No. And I mean, and that changes everything. I mean, they have kids playing that are so.
Because I think if they had a healthy team, if they had a fully healthy team, I can't imagine.
Right, they would be dangerous. Like they could absolutely be dangerous in this conference if everyone stayed healthy. Because
it sucks. That really
it's
does
tragic
suck.
at the moment, but Courtney's coming. Courtney's coming next year. And that is cool. And we talked about it on Sand Shark Rewind tonight, but it's a big get for USCB too, because they got a big fish locally from a place, Hilton Head Prep is. I don't know how many kids have gone from Hilton Head Prep to USCB over the years, but it's not a lot. Right. And they got Courtney Campbell, so that's a big get for them, and I think it's great that she's gonna stay home and play here. And I don't think she'll be the last. I think we may see some
super Midwest
too.
Midwest
she's a Midwest kid. So Versip loves the Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan belt, so she fits in well there and is going to be a nice piece. Are any of the other Skiza teams, like, I don't know what BA's got, boys or girls?
Well, BA
really?
Girls are they've told everyone they're playing JV this year.
Okay, that explains why there's no schedule.
Yeah.
So when you look at Cross's region, it's Holy Trinity, Andrew Jackson, Cross, and Thomas Hayward. They could win that by Hilton Head Christian numbers, right? Like 40 and 50 points in region.
Oh,
so
rough.
So that could be a whole problem. But of course, that's why they scheduled it up early. But they're the only one else that has a chance at to win a Skiza state. Prep maybe on the outside looking in on three. Or Prep actually has a real shot at it.
I think the
Prep.
You know what's funny?
Prep,
I think there's a shot even on the crazy enough. Going back to the Courtney thing, I'm not sure 3A girls has a whole lot at all.
I think you're right.
I think
they have the same region that the boys do. It's them, Patrick Henry, Colin Prep, and St. John's Clifton. So
I kind of think
they'll find one other kid that can hit a shot, and Courtney gets hot. Look out.
Yeah.
I mean, Colleton Prep plays. They have the old Patrick Henry coach. So they play a decent.
That's right.
Or they did.
That's
so
true.
They
do.
Yeah, they play a decent style of ball.
2 for her. They're going to be pretty tough.
Yeah.
Coach Belinda or something. And then so they could be okay, and they've already beaten Andrew Jackson in the girls.
Okay.
So I mean, Colleton Prep, I would think probably as a team has more than Hilton Head Prep, but again, when you have the best kid on the floor who handles the ball the whole time, who doesn't get tired, I mean, puncher's chance, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, she'll be the best kid on the floor every time out, pretty much.
I mean, poor gals.
Hold on, we've got a dapper-looking fellow in the green room who wants in. Look at this gentleman. Look at this dapper gentleman,
fellas.
Marcus Walsh.
What be happening?
Tell us about your monkey suit, sir.
I have spent the last, like 6 hours practically singing. Had the Hilton Head Symphony Orchestra chorus concert at First Presbyterian Church on Hilton Head, and then had to get down to Christ Lutheran Church just a couple minutes away for rehearsal for a concert that I'm singing in on December 13th. So, yeah.
Look at that man.
Figured.
Look at that man.
Sheesh.
Man.
So, yeah, a lot of singing. Had a concert last night. Have another one tomorrow. Heading to Ohio for a few days later on in the week.
Have fun with that.
Listen to a little bit. Yeah, I'm gotta see the fam. Love
Tis the
love
season.
heading up
Tis the
there
season, my man.
for that. Listen to a little bit of you guys on the way home and whatnot, and just have, and obviously I've talked a little bit certainly about my impressions thus far, really over the last week or so of what I've kind of gathered. Again, our WHHI schedule, and I'll let you guys know again because Kevin's on here, my co-padre, if you will. Our schedule is not definitive yet, but it's what I've told you guys is what will work for us, provided everybody's on board. So I'm hoping that we can finalize that by the end of this week, because I'm already, checking dates, as I told you guys, to get into gyms. I just heard the news about Courtney Campbell, and I got to tell you, the Bellevue, I believe she's originally from Bellevue, Ohio. I believe that's the city that she's from. But that kid, and there have been several girls as well as guys that I've covered over the years, but Courtney impresses me about like no other girl that I've covered down here.
There have been a few, but there have been
I've talked about a few in my time, calling games on the hardwood for WHHI. Brielle McCarthy was one of those. Obviously, Hilton Head's had a plethora of players. I think of Linda Young, of course. JP2 has the daughter of a pretty good friend of a very good friend of mine, I'll say, and that is Dominique Jones. Look out for Dominique Jones at JP2. I think JP2 on the girls and guys side, as I've touched on the last couple of days. I think both those teams are going to be improved, but there's just something about Courtney Campbell. She is the leader of that team, and she's been that way obviously for a long time. We were able to call her 1,000-point game last year against HHCA. That was terrific.
Yep. By the way,
to be able to see that.
By the way, JP2 girls' next game is against Cross, so that should be an interesting one. I believe that's tomorrow.
I will plan on seeing the Hilton Head Prep JP2 game at Prep on Wednesday, the doubleheader, of course, because we plan to cover JP2. We will not see, as the schedule is now.
That is
we will not
indeed
see
tomorrow.
Hilton Head Prep live.
Yeah, JP2 is at Cross Schools tomorrow night.
That should be a good one.
It's a packed schedule on Monday.
That one's in the Reef,
River,
right?
Yep.
Tuesday too, man.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Defending champs, the Stingrays, beginning their title defense. That's
Tuesday. You're at Liberty County, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's sort of
That's
an
a big boy
interesting.
game.
Well, that's the thing. So like the JP2 game is a super big game. But like our schedule is, and it's a big game for Cross too. I'm not saying it's not, but like the way this, and then you were Cathedral on Friday. So it's packed right now in terms of, and then they played on Marlborough County on Friday, and then they played Irmo on Saturday. So Cross is already kind of like long in the tooth.
Yeah, they are.
They'll be playing a lot right now. So I just hope, for the sake of everyone competitively, that like that game doesn't get lost in the mix, because it could be a good one. I think the return one will be better at JP2. And then I think Also, there's some really good ones. Like I said, Amira comes back. She's at Ridgeland on Tuesday. And then you've got, I think, don't you have Savannah Country Day versus Ridgeland tomorrow night? Just a bunch of wild matchups tomorrow, like all across the region. So it should be kind of interesting. Tuesday as
playing
well.
somebody.
Savannah Country Day.
Yeah, well,
Country
the
Day.
girls' schedule said Country Day, and the boys said Savannah High, so I wasn't really
Okay, so
sure.
one of them.
Then Country Day versus
one of those two.
It does say the girls' schedule does say they play Country Day at Country Day.
And then Country Day
Maybe
is
Oh yeah, boys
Christian
says
on
Country Day as
Tuesday.
well now.
Okay, so Savannah Country Day. I'll make that. Make that quick amend in the.
Yeah, and then Country Day.
And then
versus
Ridgeland at
Christian
Bluffton on Tuesday, as well as Hampton coming to the Ville in the Battle of Hurricanes.
Ooh. That Ridgeland Bluffton game, I feel Bluffton's a favorite in that one, but I'm excited for it. Ridgeland's a storied program now, obviously first year with the separate schools, with Ridgeland and Hardyville.
Yeah. I don't know how much Ridgeland boys or girls. I don't think either one of them lost much varsity talent to Hardyville. I think we mostly have kids who played JV at Hardyville last year. So
Ridgeland should be very similar to the original Hardyville team.
Yeah, because the schools actually split 2 years ago.
Right.
But athletics didn't split. Varsity athletics didn't split until this year. So, there were kids that knew they were going to play at Hardyville, and they just played JV last year.
Okay.
And I think there was also a tendency to take Ridgeland kids over Hardyville kids when you're picking your varsity team, right? Because they're in your building.
Might be able to catch the end of that one after the USCB girls game, USCB women's game against Barton, because I think that's a 6:00 tip, if I am correct, over there. At
I'm gonna have to get somebody else to call it with me because Robbie's gonna be busy.
Oh,
I don't know if I actually.
If I wasn't working,
you might stay back and call the game instead. Tuesday.
Actually, I have. Oh, on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, maybe. Honestly, yeah. I mean,
sounds like better time than going down the.
I mean, I've seen my kid play basketball a lot. I mean, I know what that looks like. So I mean, but on the real, like, I mean, I enjoy doing those games too. That's part of it. But also, I mean, being real with you, we scout in the season, so I'm never. I mean, I'm at most of PJ's games and have been since forever, but. I think we're at a point where, like, sometimes it's not even advantageous for me to be in the gym, all the time, and I just go to other gyms. And Mike too. Mike's out and about all the time too now, so he's no longer on the Christian bench. So, so that's kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get him in there as a correspondent with some regularity. Tell us what he's seeing.
Oh, he'd love it. No, he's getting out there and seeing some stuff. So, and all of us have these, like, the GHSA and the Huddle fan package.
Oh yeah.
So like we can watch
the NFHS.
We want to.
Yep.
Got to go with the NFHS subscription.
Yeah.
Well worth it. Well, hey, let's shout out some more sponsors. The Lowco Booster Club, Court Lifestyle Pros, Daniel and Debbie Court with Charter One Realty. Let them bring you home to Hilton Head Island. Eagle Creations has promotional items and custom apparel. Check them out on Argent Boulevard to see what they can do for you. Jay's Barbershop, place to be in Ridgeland. Go get your hair cut in downtown and then stop for some tacos. Barefoot Floor Care of the Low Country. Floors so clean, your feet will thank you. Hudson's Seafood House on the Docks, presenting sponsor of Under the Bus. Check out a new episode featuring me sitting in for Curry this week. It was fun. I got Rich Vasirico to say that he raw dogs a turkey sandwich.
Whoa.
And Hurricane Sports Cafe.
Right.
If you need something to eat or drink in Hampton, go out to Hurricane Sports Cafe and tell them we said hi. No, seriously, we were talking about turkey sandwiches, and I said, "You a mayo guy? You a mustard guy?" He said, "Nah," and I said, "You just raw dog it?
You just raw dog it, no condiments at all."
Yeah, raw dog it.
I'm a barbecue sauce guy.
Barbecue sauce for turkey.
Okay.
I could eat barbecue sauce on anything.
You know what I put on
Unless it's like a brisket or something.
You know what I put on a leftover turkey sandwich today is Chick-fil-A sauce, and it was.
You can't go wrong with that.
Mighty good.
You can buy that. I didn't realize you could buy the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Oh yeah.
Stores now they sell it.
Oh yeah. It stays in our pantry.
Publix, probably Kroger too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Widely available.
Best thing ever.
But Yeah, Under the Bus was good this week. That was in like the first 2 minutes too. I came out with that. So that was
Golly.
good times. So we still haven't really talked in any depth, and we may not go into too much depth on 3A, 2A, 1A. In 3A, we got Battery Creek in a new look region. Their girls have a new coach, Coach Aiken from Bluffton, from the Bluffton bench for a long time. They won their first couple of games and then
Good
lost
deal.
to May River in the championship game. Coach CJ's, doing his thing over there. And he's always going to have a scrappy team that plays hard. They went over and played Calvary Day tough in the Savannah Hoops Classic. And so, we'll see how they stack up in that region. In 2A, we've got Hampton, Whale Branch, and Bridges. The boys region is very interesting. All those teams should be pretty good on the boys' side.
Hampton,
And
Whale Branch,
Bridges,
Bridges.
Bridges.
Bridges
Yeah.
receiving your top 10 in that classification.
Top 5, I think.
Top 5,
Number
number 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a team I feel like has the verge of a really strong year. They could break out.
I saw them scrimmage prep, actually.
Oh, yeah?
And that was a super interesting contrast of styles.
Yeah. Bridges
to say
is the
the very
opposite of
least, right?
organized.
Now, yeah, yeah. And prep got over. They played that like 5 quarters thing, and prep probably won 3.5 kind of thing. It was, but you could see the talent, right? Amarion's all over the place now, though. Like he's shooting threes. Yeah. Like he's everywhere. So they're letting him kind of do his thing. It's definitely a little more, it's an up and down running gun sort of kind of scenario over there. So I don't know what that looks like when games get close, and they have to execute. But I know that there's a lot of talent in that region with Whale Branch and Hampton as well.
Robbie, do you think Amarion's taking the last shot?
I think he's taking every shot he can get.
Absolutely. Without question.
I mean, he was hunting everything everywhere. He was a vastly different player than the last time I saw him in terms of facing. I mean, he had very little, and he had slimmed down. He definitely, when I saw him 2-3 weeks back, he definitely had slimmed down. So he looks the part right now. And now I don't know with playing his back to the basket, predominantly his whole career, if he has the skill set to face at this level, but it's not going to stop him from chucking and finding out. So,
right.
We're gonna see, and he's gonna be allowed to have volume, and I think that he's obviously one of the more talented kids in the region, if not area, obviously. So, why not? I would too. I mean, you got to ride your best kid.
Yeah, it's got to go through him.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
To
not go through him.
It's just more interesting to see it from a face. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Past,
well, and he started showing a little bit of that last year. He would take the ball in the high post and just go raging bull. Last year.
I remember it well.
The 2 dribble thing
against
France. Against prep, he was 4 or 5 feet outside the 3.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. Like he was playing a full on wing sort of. Yeah, he was everywhere. He was so he had a whole different feel to him, and I wasn't. It was very different for me to watch. I'm not sure if that is what it'll be like, once they rein it in a little bit and get into the regular season and stuff gets tight. And, it's possible they were just kind of feeling it out. But I liked seeing him extend in that way. I just wasn't sure how it would translate, but we're going to see. So we'll do it.
Yep.
Well, so far so good. They won that tournament. They beat Whale Branch in the finals. So they're off to a good start.
There you go.
They're a fun team. I don't know that any of those girls teams are going to make much noise. Hampton's off to a slower start than expected, and Whale Branch was getting better, but then Coaxum's over at Beaufort now, and she was one of their tougher players. And then Bridges is still just kind of building. Michaela Lapp, who's a tough player, they just don't have enough around her right now.
And then has a couple young kids. I mean, they have an 8th grader and a 9th grader in their backcourt, essentially. Right now.
Okay.
So I mean that's at least that's at least like something to look at moving
Yeah, to look
forward.
forward to.
Yeah, one of them I think's name's Harmony Prejean, and then another one is Khalees. And so she's a nice, she's got good size too. She's like a 5'9",
Okay.
5'10" kind of kid. So hopefully, those kids can skill up and create some noise over the next several years. But I think Buford's the one over there that'll make, not this year, but like 2 years down the road, they could be a whole problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Sounds
can
like
see.
it. And then in our 1A region, we got Ridgeland and Hardyville, and the girls region is stacked because Denmark Olar's in there. They're number 1 preseason. Bamberg's in there. They're number 6 preseason. So that's going to be a really good region. Ridgeland had a little juice last year. The Exley girl, Jaden Exley, is really solid. Hardyville is going to be young because, like I said, I don't know that we have. Maybe Brianna Washington, our big. She's got some varsity experience, but I think that's about it. Most of them are pretty young, so we'll see how they look Tuesday night. But Ridgeland boys, PJ Capers is at Bridges now, which adds to their intrigue. He can go. I don't know who else left, but they got some juice back. Second year under a new coach. We'll see how that gels together this year. Hardyville has got a lot of talent, but we're inexperienced, and we'll see if we can play together, play team basketball. That is yet to be seen.
What about the rest of the region though for 1A boys?
Denmark is good. Let's see who's ranked. Denmark's ranked 8th. Denmark's ranked 8th. Allendale's in that region. They're not ranked, but they're scrappy.
Okay.
Bamberg. That region's crazy every year. Like crazy.
Fair enough.
The boys' side, it's just that Bridges was in that region last year, and it's just cuckoo bananas every game.
Girls too. Like 1A has been nuts, and 1A public is a whole thing.
Apparently, we got someone called a Horse Creek Academy in our region for basketball. I didn't even know that existed.
Interesting.
Where would that?
We got Royal Live Oaks. Royal Live Oaks as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And Horse Creek Academy. I'm not familiar with that one.
They're from Aiken.
I guess they're in our region.
So
maybe.
I guess they do lead a horse to water.
You can lead him to water. It's the making him drink that you can't do.
I was aching for a joke. Thank you, boys.
We'll let you know.
Yeah.
So
I'm not.
Yeah.
Hold on. See if I can find some stuff on them.
Horse Creek Academy.
Horse Creek Academy.
Yeah.
Kev, I have to ask you real quick, and I've again talked to JJ and Wes and Max for sure, but who do you have your eye on ahead of us calling some games this year together?
I was chagrined that we're not calling the Battery Creek girls because they're good. I want to, but I'm looking forward to the premier game we're going to have this year, Marcus, on WHHI Sports TV, which is Prep versus Whale Branch, right? The rivalry game.
We got our third year in a row doing it.
Just Prep
That's a nice matchup right there.
I mean, Amari and Wills, we were talking about, man, he's like really fun. So I can't wait to see how we all respond to what that kid brings to the gym. He's 6'6". He can do more than just face the basket from the back. He's gonna be front-facing basketball. The whole team should be around him, trying to make him a better offensive player. We're gonna get to see how a defense responds to a 6'6" kid attacking the basket with a full head of steam. We're in the Caffeinasium again, Marcus. Let's do it.
That's right. Obviously,
they're not
we're
in the Caffeinasium anymore.
Oh,
no,
they're not.
They got a
New
brand new gym,
New arena.
boys.
Let's
Brand
break
new
it in.
gym.
It's
We're
a beauty.
breaking the new place
It's a
in.
beauty. Yeah.
All right.
Marcus Walsh, Justin, help us. What will Marcus call this new gymnasium? What's the nickname?
What?
I
Any,
don't know.
Any word? Well, I'll find out soon enough. How
We should
about
invent one. Yeah.
about in 648, Kev? Who do you have your eye on?
Pirate ship.
Remember the Navy kills pirateers. 6-4A is a little bit more wide open. I mean, that's the big boys. So I'm not really sure in terms of who's coming out of that because I haven't seen the game yet.
I like this Bluffton team. I love this Bluffton team. I said,
do like
seen
some
others
Bluffton
together,
guys.
but have you seen you've seen Harry Skinner play? That dude is dude is electric. I mean,
Dirty
if you haven't
Harry
watched him
Skinner,
play-
Dirty
can
Harry
shoot it.
Skinner.
He can knock him down.
He can knock him down, and he can knock him down while
can.
getting fouled. He can knock him down at the buzzer.
Yep.
He can knock him down with one eye closed. I'm sure he's that.
But
kind
But
of
it's not
shooter.
just Harry Skinner though. You got so many other players on that Bluffton team too.
Indeed,
And
Jamari
honestly,
Stewart Manning. You got to say three different names, but man,
Jabari Stewart Manning.
That guy is a revelation for
He's a
Bluffton.
baller.
And man, he carried that team to a whole nother level this year. And with the addition, of course, Perry and some other guys, at the guard position, Jamari Stewart Manning is someone who I think is going to elevate this team even further this year. Then you got some dudes, some athletes, and our celebrity Carnell Warren, who was just on the NFL Network.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about it. I like May River a lot too on both
I do
the boys
indeed.
and girls.
Do indeed. I love Coach Kicks, the hire that the girls had this year. She looks to be a tremendous coach, and I think she's going to really enhance that team a lot this year. Don't sleep on Russell Raniszewski. He's been there a while. And he's done some good things with that team. Although they did lose a lot, especially Linda Young among some others. But they seem to
played
find
the whole season without Linda last year. So
that's a good point.
that.
That's a great point because I'll tell you what, they got some young players who really impressed last year, and Coach R had them playing some strong, inspired basketball. So watch out for the Seahawks if they get things rolling. I feel like they could surprise a couple guys. May River, I think. Bluffton, who knows? You expect a little bit of a rebuilding period for them, but hey, Amira Brown is still one of the best players, maybe the best player in the local part of this region right now, from what I've seen. So Amira, it's going to be her show now, along with a few other young players.
Yep. All right, boys. Any other parting thoughts before we wrap it up and call it a season preview?
Just looking forward to getting out to gyms. Going to be seeing hopefully 5 games for us.
Let's
then
talk about the slate this week because, man, it starts off big time tomorrow. A couple of great games. Yeah. May River Hill and Chris County. So a nice, high school league versus Skeeza matchup right now. The Gates, Buford with a nice test at Ashley Ridge. JP2 with the defending cross-school state champions over in Skeeza. And then Tuesday is a loaded slate. A couple of teams going out of town to play some other squads like Mirror Hilton Head. But we got, Hampton County, Hardyville, Ridgeland, Bluffton, Battery Creek, Bishop England. Bishop England's certainly favorite there, but and then Hilton Christian Mississippi Country Day as well. So a couple of games out of town, but still some intriguing ones. And then Wednesday we got JP2 Hilton at Prep, Whale Branch at Buford. So even the Wednesday light schedule, you still got 2 local on Lowco games. And then Friday night, it just keeps rolling. Battery Creek, Whale Branch. That's always been a fun rivalry. We got, of course, Hilton at Prep. So
Carlton and Hampton's always hyped.
Yeah.
Too.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then
Carlton and Hampton's always
the
good.
Saturday night special. The Bluffton Hilton at Prep 2:30 and 5:15. I guess where they call it. But then the May River at Whale Branch is on the docket as well on the girls' side. I assume the guys will be playing it too, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, quite a slate to start it off this first week to get back into. Schedulers did a great job because there's some terrific matchups.
Yeah, it does look like boys are. May River is also playing boys at Whale Branch.
So that boys game will also happen on Saturday. All right, we'll add that to
cross. I was saying cross girls played twice, 4 out of 5 nights, but I've determined that's nothing. It looks like the Buford girls will have played the last 4 nights after tomorrow.
Wow.
So
that's a lot of hoops.
Yeah, they played a 3 tournament. Yeah, they played 3 games, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then they play tomorrow as well. That is tough.
That's a grind.
It is.
That's
tough.
Reggie putting them through the ringer early.
It doesn't get easier. I mean, Ashley Ridge is tough.
He's trying to grow up those young guards fast, I guess, huh?
I think that, like, I don't know how they do their scheduling over there. I think probably, given their circumstance, they probably could have eased it all in a little bit, right? I mean, they've gone after.
They've always played for several years now. They've played Ashley Ridge on that first Monday that you can play.
Yeah, they do.
So that
they do
that
every
seems
year.
to just be a thing. But maybe
And
don't
Ashley
play
Ridge
the big girl tournament the weekend before.
Well,
maybe
so for
maybe
a
in
while,
retrospect.
so for a while, well, it's funny. For a while, they were actually listed in the She Got Game tournament that Cross was in Columbia, which had a lot of big dogs. And then all of a sudden they weren't in the draw anymore, and they were in a tournament I'd never heard of, but yet there's still really very solid big time teams in that event.
Right.
And so it was sort of like there's just no rest for the weary for these young girls. I mean, yeah, I remember like Delia Laborde, she's barely playing yet, but she's just in 8th grade right now.
Right.
She's like a little kid, and Nia is like 14. And and so like Deja Singleton's playing a bunch right now, and she just is like 3 months out of Riverview Middle. So they're definitely crazy young. It's going to take several years, and getting licked at this level, I think there's pros and cons there, right? Like you don't want to take that 50.
You don't want to break their spirit.
Yeah, you don't want to break their spirit and take 50 pieces right now with regularity. So I think it'll be nice for them once they get back into the area and they get a look at Whale Branch and Battery Creek and things like that. Bridges, they'll have a little more success. So, but right now 4 in a row. That's pretty hardy.
Yep.
Pretty hardy, indeed.
Yeah.
Anything else, boys?
Nah.
Nah. All
Can I
right.
tell
We
a story?
covered it.
JJ,
Yeah,
can
tell
I
a
tell
story.
a whole? All right, let me tell a whole story, boys.
Oh boy.
I was a camera person for a football game at Hilton Head Prep. And it was a game where a kid had a concussion. So he went down to the ground and they were doing a full spinal, which is when they bring the ambulance in the field and they're taking him off the field. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
WHHI's live stream had huge numbers. It was like JJ's stream on Friday, where we didn't understand why there were so many people watching. So what I do is I put the live stream on my phone, and I'm trying to communicate. I don't have the words yet, but I'm trying to tell my director, hey, maybe let's have Marcus go on air and say, like, we don't know what's happening yet, I'm trying to communicate to this large audience of people on the internet that, like, we don't know what's happening. So I leave my phone on, and we go back to the game, and Marcus is booming. We're back to the game. Marcus Walsh, Daniel Court, we're here.
Bob Stevens actually filled in for Daniel on that game.
Marcus
Daniel
knows
was
the
out.
story. Marcus
Daniel
knows the
was
story
out
better than
sick.
I do.
I think I know where you're going, but I'm not 100% sure. So you got
I
to
have
finish
no
it,
idea
Kev.
where you're going. Go on, Kevin.
Please
Marcus hit the
continue.
nail on the head, which was I was very embarrassed. I had the audio for the football game on my phone very loudly blaring next to Peg Hamilton and the rest of the Hilton Head press box. Decorum in the press box is very important. Long story short, the guy who's doing the PA yells at Wes Kerr and says, turn it off. I can't hear. And I don't realize it because I have my headphones on. It's my phone that's blaring. And Wes Kerr looks like he's 18 just like he does today because he's a kid. Wes, you have great genes, sir, and you look like a high school student then as you do now. But Wes Kerr, like a professional, totally ignores it while I turn my phone off, tweets out the whole game to you, JJ, for scores, and then never made a big deal out of it because Wes Kerr, sir, is a professional journalist with a capital Z.
I don't remember this at all.
Wes
Wes,
is like,
you
I
don't
was
remember.
totally oblivious to this.
Wes,
Nah,
it brushed off his shoulder, but to me, it stuck with me for 5 years. Wes,
All right.
you're a great journalist. I love you. That was the whole point of the story.
All right.
It was a while ago,
What a
man.
great, what a great way to wrap up this Lowco Hoops Report.
I would have
season
handled that
preview.
situation so differently, though. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
well, Max would.
Me too.
Yeah, Max would have been ejected. He would
Oh,
have
yeah.
been ejected from the press box. He would have been calling me. You're not gonna believe this. I just got kicked out of Hilton Head Prep. But
Yeah, they
Wes,
don't like me anyway.
he's a kinder, gentler spirit. So,
Yeah.
all right, boys. Well, thanks so much for making it a fun night, getting us all up to speed on what's happening in the Lowco Hoops scene. We'll see you out in the gyms real soon. Thanks to all these guys, Marcus Walsh, Kevin Libby, Rob Benson, Max Araj, Wes Kerr, and I'm Justin Jarrett. Thanks to all of our sponsors, including or especially our OGs, our All-Stars, Mickelson Law Firm. And thanks to all you for showing up to listen or watch. We'll see you next time, Monday night. Lowco Sports Lowdown coming at you tomorrow night. Till then, go Lowco.